Not with a dramatic announcement, not with a viral post, but with one decision after another. Stop looking, stop applying, stop hoping, stop pushing. And when you look at the latest numbers, the picture gets even more disturbing. Because this is no longer just about jobs. It is about pressure, exhaustion, money, mental health, and a growing feeling that the system is asking people to run a marathon with no water, no rest, and no finish line. Stay with me because I'm going to count down 5 numbers that explain why so many Americans seem to be giving up. And the last one changes everything. We are going from 5 to 1. And after each number, I want you to ask yourself one question. How long can people keep living like this? The first number is 61.5%. That is the U.S. labor force participation rate in June 2026, the share of people 16 and older who are working or actively looking for work. That sounds like a small number at first, but it is actually one of the clearest signs that something deeper is happening in the economy. The reason this matters is simple. When participation falls, it means more people are not showing up in the labor market at all. Some retire early, some get discouraged, some are dealing with family responsibilities or health issues, and some just feel the effort is no longer worth it. In June alone, the labor force fell by 720,000, and the rate hit the lowest point since March 2021. This is why people say Americans are tapping out. It does not always mean they are lazy. Sometimes it means they are tired, overwhelmed, or convinced the effort will not pay off. And if the participation rate keeps slipping, the next number becomes even more important. Keep watching, because number 4 shows what people are doing instead of getting ahead.
The next number is 54%. That is the share of Americans in one 2026 survey who said they live paycheck to paycheck. In the same study, 34% described their financial situation as struggling or in crisis, and 53% said they worry about money every single day. That is not just financial discomfort. That is survival mode. When someone is living this way, every bill becomes a crisis, every emergency becomes a threat, and every missed shift can feel like a disaster. Another 2026 report found 44% of Americans identify as cash poor, with less than $200 in savings, which shows how thin the margin really is for millions of people. And once people get trapped in that cycle, they stop thinking long-term. They stop training, stop investing, stop planning, and sometimes stop believing things will improve. That is how financial stress turns into surrender. But the real shock is not just the money, it is what the pressure is doing to people's minds. Number 3 is where this story gets darker. Number 3. Mental strain is rising fast. Number 3 is 19.1%. That is the share of U.S. adults who reported currently having or being treated for depression in Gallup's 2026 reading. Around the same time, an APA survey found nearly half of Americans felt more anxious than the year before, and 62% said current events and paying bills were major sources of anxiety. This matters because burnout is not just a mood. It affects decision-making, energy, confidence, and persistence. If people are anxious about money, stressed about the news, and exhausted from daily life, it becomes much harder to keep applying, keep working, keep studying, or keep believing a better future is possible. That is why giving up often starts quietly. It starts with delaying plans, then skipping opportunities, then lowering expectations, then accepting less and less. The scary part is that most people around them may not notice until they have already checked out. And if you think this is only personal, number 2 shows it is also structural.
Number 2. The job market no longer feels secure. The second number is 1.9%. That is the quits rate in May 2026, meaning fewer workers are voluntarily leaving jobs compared with the boom years. On the surface, that may sound like stability, but it can also signal caution, fear, and weak confidence in better options. In May 2026, quits were 3.065 million, only slightly above April, while the quits rate held at 1.9%. That tells you workers are not rushing to move around the job market the way they once did. In other words, people may be staying put, not because they are satisfied, but because they are unsure what else is out there. That feeling changes behavior. When people do not trust the market, they do not take risks. They do not switch jobs, they do not relocate, they do not start over, and they do not bet on themselves the way they used to. And that brings us to the biggest number of all, the one that explains why this is not just a labor story, but a national mood. Number 1. The real giveaway. The biggest number is this. Millions of Americans are not quitting one thing. They are quitting the feeling that effort automatically leads to progress. That is the hidden crisis behind the data. The labor force is smaller, money is tighter, anxiety is higher, and confidence in the future is weaker. When you put those numbers together, the message is hard to ignore. People are not just tired of work. They are tired of pressure, tired of instability, tired of feeling like one mistake can knock them back months. That is what giving up often looks like in real life. Not a collapse, but a slow retreat. And the most dangerous part is this. When enough people retreat, the whole country feels it. Businesses struggle to hire, families spend less, communities weaken, and the sense of national momentum starts to fade. So the real question is not whether Americans are giving up. The real question is, what happens if this keeps going? And which number hit you the hardest? The labor force rate, the paycheck-to-paycheck pressure, or the mental health crisis? Because depending on how you answer that, this is either the story of a nation that is breaking down, or a nation that is about to demand a major reset.